Hey, you are listening to CareerShorts.com Star Talk podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Key. Today, our guest is Betty LaMarr. Betty is an international speaker, author, founder of Nadisa Associates, a professional coaching and training company. Betty is also a CareerShorts.com e-learning content partner and a speaker. Welcome to the show, Betty.
Thank you, Kelly. I am so thrilled to be here.
Well,
this is exciting.
Absolutely, and I look forward to our conversation. Well, Betty, in coaching with your clients, men or women, what are the top 2 to 3 career sabotaging behavior you observed?
That's an interesting question. It's one that there are some common themes. One of the things that I see very often, because I deal with people who are in high-tech industry or in jobs where their expertise really matters.
Yeah.
And what I find is one of the big hurdles for people is thinking that if they work harder, that they don't have to socialize.
Hard work is everything, huh?
They think hard work is everything. And so if they get an invitation from the boss for lunch, they think it's a waste of time. Now, what clearly is an opportunity for men or women when you have a situation like this is for them to recognize that in order for them to grow and get promoted, that they have to develop relationships. When their boss or their boss's boss are looking to give people those stretch assignments, they're looking for people that they know and people that they trust.
Yes, yes.
And so what's really important for men and women to know is that technical expertise is necessary, but it is truly not sufficient. So they got to go above and beyond, and they got to step out of their comfort zone and make time to go to lunch and build relationships. Now, another one that's really big that I see all the time, and that's people just resisting this whole notion about politics. It's like, oh, I can't stand politics. I just want to do my job. And so they are really uncomfortable managing politics or promoting themselves. And they get caught up in this thing that they call brown-nosing or bragging. They think it's one or the other, and they find it so distasteful, again, that they sabotage themselves, because the truth of the matter is that you have to learn how to influence without authority, and politics is part of that, whether you're dealing with your peers, your subordinates, or your superiors. And so, what I advise, and part of what I do in coaching clients around that piece, is to help them better understand themselves and get in touch with their own emotional intelligence, quite honestly. And what that means is become more aware of yourself. Put a different interpretation, if you will, on the interaction that's required in the workplace. I mean, you don't have to make politics a bad word.
Right.
It's necessary. It's necessary because you are going to have politics, even among friends. Anytime you have 2 or more people getting together, you're going to have politics. And the third one that I see, Kelly, is people being afraid to take risk. And particularly in this environment, folks are just trying to hunker down and keep their head down so nobody will notice, right?
That's right.
And as a result, what happens is that they will overjudge themselves about their capability. They're scared to step out there and raise their hand to do something that they've never done before. Or if an opportunity for a project comes up that is beyond their normal work, they may not raise their hand because, again, they're like, well, the higher-ups are going to be looking at me, and, I may look bad. I'm not sure I know all of that. What they don't see is that that's an opportunity for them to grow, develop, and build a support system beyond their normal hierarchy, if you will, or their normal group.
Great way to improve your visibility.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I have to tell you, I was certainly guilty of being afraid to take risk. And, there's still those times that it comes up and you say, well, I'm not sure I want to do that. I might be embarrassed. And the situation that I had was early on in my career, looking at a promotion, and I was talking to my mentor about it, and I was like, I'm not sure I have that enough experience, and I'm not sure I have 8 of the 10 qualifications. And what he said to me is that, you know what, you're really judging yourself too harshly. And what you fail to understand is that even though somebody might list 10 qualifications, there may be 4 that they really think are truly important, that represent your ability to be successful. And you're discounting, you're not even stepping up and raising your hand to be included in the evaluation process because you don't have all 8. And so it's important to realize that even if you don't have the whole list of things, that you're going to learn something when you step up and step out.
Really well said, Betty. A couple of points I took away here. Number one is that technical expertise is not everything. You need to go out there to develop relationships. Key decision makers do, just like anybody else, right, do tend to trust more of those people they have personal relationships with. So that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, number 2, like you said, don't think of politics as a bad word. You really have to learn how to influence others without authority. Do not be shy away from promoting your true expertise. That's really part of navigating the workplace and get yourself noticed, right?
Yes.
And the third piece directly links to that. Flowing below the radar doesn't pay.
It doesn't.
It does not. No risk, no reward. When the right opportunity knocks on the door, you have to step up the plate. And really, no one can be a stronger advocate than yourself. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I think those are really excellent points there. Goes with the kind of aptitude employers desire. One of the big words is a team player, right? Everybody wants a team player. But I have to say, it is a lot easier to be a team player if I like the person I work with, right? But what if I don't really, cannot see eye to eye with the person I'm working with? Are there any suggestions or tips, Betty, you have for working with difficult people?
Absolutely. And we all work with people that we term difficult. And a lot of times, Kelly, those are the people that do things differently than we do.
Yes.
And it's kind of difficult for us sometimes to get out of thinking that the way we do things is the way things need to be done.
That's right.
And so what I would say as a guide is to be aware of your own filters and know that just because you grew up and you were trained to do it a certain way, that somebody else grew up in a different environment and they were trained to do it a different way. And guess what? You both can get the same results. Yeah. So the opportunity here is for us to begin to respect other people's differences. And because they're different does not make them deficient.
That's right.
Or any less than you. And so part of this is what I talk about when I talk about emotional intelligence. And it's not only being aware of yourself. So one thing is certainly you got to understand your own personal style.
Yes.
Okay? Understand what your hot buttons are, what really upsets you, because a lot of times we can just have our little idiosyncrasies, if you will, the little things that just really irritate us.
That's right.
And you have to put that stuff in check because it can sabotage your relationships. It can make working in a team more difficult than it needs to be because you are basically listening to that little voice in your head that says, I should be upset because they're not doing it like my way.
Exactly.
And so, and so
I've heard that voice a couple of times. Go ahead.
And so when you understand that about you, understand also that you have a choice to honor that or not honor that. And what I mean by that is you can choose to listen to that voice, or you can tell that voice to go sit down and shut up right now.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. Be aware of your own personal style. Be aware of your hot buttons and manage those, because that's what emotional intelligence is. It's about managing it. It's not giving into it and let it control you.
That's right.
And one of the other things I would say is it goes back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago. You need to get to know people. Yeah. And you can reserve your judgment about people when you have a broader knowledge of who they are.
That's right.
And the only way you're going to get to know who people are is that you spend time with them.
That's right.
So spend time, talk to people, get to know them personally. That's right. And that way you will often find out the things that you're getting upset about has nothing to do with you. It may be that there are some competing agendas going on for that person. They could be experiencing some really difficult times, or they could be, having some job challenges that they haven't shared with anybody.
Exactly.
But when you foster a friendship and a level of comfort with them, maybe they can share that with you and help lower their anxiety and yours too. So those are a few things that I would term dealing with what we term difficult people.
So the number one thing is that we need to have a clear self-awareness. Be aware of your own personal styles and what are your hot buttons. Don't let your hot buttons manage you, but manage your hot buttons. Put them in check. That's exactly our word, right? Put them in check. The second piece, what I heard really is actually another element of emotional intelligence is really empathy. Right? So don't assume the way you do things is the only way to do things. Put yourself into other people's shoes and trying to appreciate their style. And as you said, a lot of times diversity indeed bring in strength, right? There can be additional value added just because the other party doing things differently than what you are traditionally familiar with, right? And on a related note, don't make assumptions about others. It's always, right? Human relationships, the more you spending time get to know the other person on a personal level, the less likely you will have the kind of conflict that probably purely based on assumptions or just incorrect understandings. Well, goes along that topic, another topic related, thing so-called glass ceiling. So, Betty, is there a glass ceiling in corporate America? And if there really is a glass ceiling, is it part of our career growth? Simply is out of our own control, or there are things people can actually do to influence the outcome?
Boy, that's a really complex question, Kelly, but it's one, as we both know, that comes up all the time. And, I'm one of those people who just don't accept that things aren't available to me. I know that there are challenges. I know that there are hurdles. And this whole glass ceiling concept, I guess what I would say is that there are certain industries that it's harder to get to those director level or VP level jobs than others. But I would never say that you can't get there. And yes, I do believe that it's in your control. I think you have to use every opportunity to learn something new about how to get to where you want to go.
Okay.
Now, you may have to zigzag instead of taking a straight road.
Yeah.
But you can get there. And so, no, it's not out of your control. Is it easy? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But I believe, and this glass ceiling thing comes up primarily for women and ethnic minorities. Okay. Often, all right?
Yeah.
And so I think that it just creates an opportunity when we are committed to making a difference and we are committed to getting that next step, that we get resourceful, that we get creative in building the relationships, in developing the skills necessary to get us to that next step. Definitely. And I'll give you a for example. I mean, I started at IBM, and I looked out around me and I said, okay, this person is moving faster than I am, and they seem to have a support system. Why can't I move? Well, I take the tact of looking at me first. I said, okay, what is it that's missing for me that will make me better or make me more competitive? And so what I did was I said, okay, let me go back and get my MBA because I don't want to give anybody an excuse for saying I'm not ready.
Yep.
Okay? And so you have to start looking at you and what you need to do to be prepared for that next step.
That's
and
right.
make sure that you're taking care of the things that you do control, which are your skills, your competencies, your relationships. You just got to take care of business. And by the way, when you step up and you get sponsorship to go for that next promotion, you may not get it the first time, but I guarantee you're going to learn a lot about what you need to do to be ready for it when you get there. And so it's going to be a win no matter what. Whether you get it or whether you don't get it, it's going to be a win. So you're going to learn something that will prepare you for the next time you step up for it, or you may get it to your surprise.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yet I don't believe that there's a glass ceiling. I think that it just may require a lot more work.
Well, Betty, I think that the really important message I'm taking away from what you've shared here is do not make this glass ceiling such a mental block, right? If you think, oh, really, there's a glass ceiling, this is as much as I can go. And if you really buy into that idea, then you are doing the most damage to your own career than anybody else could possibly can, right?
Absolutely.
So you have to really open yourself up to the possibility, right? And once you have that belief and have that realization, I think many of the things we've already discussed, that Betty already discussed with us, would come into play, right? You have to prepare yourself and be ready to lift yourself up to that next level. Either be like Betty said, I want to go back to get more education, right? Or really spending time to know the people you're working with, right? We talked about technical expertise only takes you so far. At the end of the day, you need to form strong relationships, mutually beneficial relationships with the key decision makers.
Yes.
And if there is really such a thing as a glass ceiling, it only makes these activities even more important for your career success.
That's right.
Well, lastly, before I let you go, Betty, I want to talk about some of the other work you are doing. You are also a very successful social entrepreneur and was recognized by Los Angeles Business Journal for your work with EmpowerHer, a non-profit organization you founded to reduce high school dropout rate among young women. So tell us a little bit more. What is EmpowerHer and what got you started in the first place? And what advice do you have for those who aspire to be a social entrepreneur just like yourself?
Well, the EmpowerHer is something that I get excited about. It's an organization that creates an opportunity for me and so many others to what I call pay it forward, and that's giving back. Instead of complaining about how bad things are in our society, doing something about it.
Yeah.
And so I really got the impetus when I lived in South Africa for 4 years, and I saw the role that women were playing in supporting their families. And I saw the need to educate girls and how it could improve their earning power. And it was real clear to me about the kind of difference that I wanted to make. I saw a universal or at least a global issue that could be addressed. But when I came back here to the States, I started looking at how was this showing up here. And it's showing up with teen girls having a 50% dropout rate in high school. And it's real clear to me, Kelly, that when you educate a girl, you're not just educating that one person, but you are really providing the foundation for a family.
Yeah.
And then when you provide a foundation for a family, you're providing a better foundation for a community. And so the organization EmpowerHer, what we're doing is really linking learning to real life situations so that these girls learn entrepreneurship and self-confidence.
Okay.
And they're learning it from real business people. We're using this as that hands-on tool that motivates them to stay in school and see the possibilities for their future. And so my advice to those who are thinking about what they can do to make a difference or looking at ways that they can give back, I would say find something that you want to do and that you want to make a difference for others. And make that a part of your activities. Make that a part of what you do.
That's right.
And I will also tell you, just based on the volunteers who are working with EmpowerHer and working with the students, helping them with their business plans, speaking to them and sharing their stories, these volunteers, Kelly, they tell me that to do this brings more joy to them than they could even imagine.
That's right.
Okay, and they tell me that they learn and that they get more than they give.
That sense of accomplishment is tremendous. It's tremendous. Thank you so much, Betty, for coming onto the show today, and I really appreciate you share all of these great insights with our audience today. And for you out there, you've been listening to CareerSource.com Star Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Key. For more career and business resources, be sure to check out CareerSource.com, the source for success.